One of the most difficult things for a restaurant owner is trying to expand. Getting money, getting capital, it's the hardest part of the whole thing. Cardiff comes in. They pick up the phone and immediately the funding's there when we need it. What you need to do is find a partner like Cardiff who can actually fund and fund quick. My name is Mike Georgopoulos. I'm one of the partners here at Rustic Root and the RMD Group, which is the parent company that owns and operates this restaurant.
And how long have you been doing that for?
20 years.
Big 2-0.
Big 2-0, yeah.
Yeah, so you've worked on tens of restaurants at this point in your career. What's something that this location, Rustic Root, does that you're especially proud of and kind of stands out compared to the other concepts that you've developed?
Well, a lot of our restaurants are located in downtown San Diego, specifically the Gaslamp district and in and around downtown. So it's more tourist-driven and convention-driven. This is one of our first, not the only, but one of our first true neighborhood restaurants. And the brand Rustic Root was designed to be a neighborhood restaurant. So Solana Beach is a small beach town. It's amazing to be here.
What kind of challenge was it to bring a gas lamp concept into Solana Beach?
A lot of people believe that restaurants just go where the restaurant makes the most sense, but the reality is there's a development component. And so you have to find a good partner, both in city and in developer or landlord or building owner. So a big part of the reason we came here is the ownership group of this actual complex, Zephyr. That group, there's a group that we partnered with in developing this space. And so although the community made sense for us, there are many other communities that Rustic Root could be in, but the partnership with Zephyr was really the reason we came here.
I went on Rustic Root's website, I did my homework, and I saw that you kind of described the menu as like modern takes on honest American comfort food and regional favorites. How do you take that concept to finalize dish or drink?
Well, it's the regional part that's really important to us. So because our team is made up of a diverse group of people from all over the United States, we all sort of have our favorites. As an example, I'm from New England, and so there's a lobster roll on the menu and a steak tip on the menu. Whereas sometimes we do hot dogs, New York style hot dogs. We've done pizza. So it just depends on the time of year, what's available locally for ingredients, and then it's a culmination of our team kind of throwing their influence in and deciding what to put on the menu. And then our chef's job is to go figure it out, make it profitable, make it delicious, and make it something that people want to buy.
You go to a lot of restaurants nowadays, and there's a design trend of kind of gray minimalism and modernism. I take a look around this restaurant, there's color popping, there's warm lighting, it's the opposite of the design trends that I'm seeing everywhere. Getting your budget sheet planned out during the construction phase, have you found that balancing your team's intended vision kind of conflicts with the reality of costs, and how do you get that intended vision that you wanted?
Yeah, great question. So you start off with everything you want, and then eventually you VE or value engineer down to what is practical and what you actually have budget for. So, and then there's less expensive ways to achieve what you maybe originally wanted to do. So as you look around, every area of this restaurant is designed and has something to see, which creates warmth. It also creates the type of environment we want. But I could point out areas where maybe something was going to be twice. In the design phase, it was going to cost twice as much to achieve the look, and we did it for half the price, or even less than half, by value engineering it and finding less expensive ways to accomplish what we want. But yeah, you never get everything you want, that's for sure.
When getting the funding to get this place funded, you guys went to a specific business.
Well, we went to Cardiff Bank, as we always do, because they're great partners of ours. And so as you mentioned earlier, when you're trying to achieve a look and a desired result, and you start to have the realities of cost, you make decisions as you come down the end. So you get funded at the beginning, your traditional way, and then you get down to the end of the project and things didn't exactly work out the way they were supposed to. And you have a decision to make. Do I want to cut corners, or do I want to add a little bit of capital? And that's generally where Cardiff comes in, because we're standing in the middle of a construction site, we're 3 weeks from opening, and all of a sudden we realize we need a little bit more money to really achieve the look we want. And we make a decision. It's a financial decision. Can we afford to spend a little more money? Can we go to our partners at Cardiff and ask for some help? And generally they pick up the phone and immediately the funding's there when we need it. And we get what we want, which is what you see here. And we have a great partner that helps us achieve that.
When you get that capital for the big build out, there's a patio, there's a bar, there's like the interior. When building this location out, do you recall kind of the first big idea, like from that gas lamp to the Solana Beach? Like what really popped out about this little spot to you?
Good question. So gas lamp happens to have really good, what I call curb appeal. So if you're walking through Gaslamp and there's hundreds of restaurants to choose from, the exterior of that restaurant actually really draws you in. And we saw the opportunity to create the same thing here. I believe this restaurant has the best curb appeal we have ever achieved, especially at night. We're on a hard corner, it's beautifully lit, and the logo really pops out and makes you feel like you want to come in. The most important design element of this restaurant is the bar, because it has an inside and an outside seating. If you want to sit outside on the patio and have a relaxed time and have a few drinks and some appetizers, you can, or you can sit on the inside of the bar and be inside the restaurant and enjoy all the things the restaurant has to offer, like live music.
So let's talk about the staff a bit. When kind of seeking out like your bar staff, your kitchen staff, like how were you guys approaching the investment side of that?
When you get ready to open a restaurant and you spend all the money to get it open and then a little more because generally things go over budget, and then you train your staff, so you're absorbing labor costs and you're not bringing in any revenue. Then you start to bring in revenue, but the costs are really high because you're overstaffing and you don't know what business is going to be. And there's a moment there where you need a bridge. That moment is where revenue hasn't caught up with expense yet. It will, and you can see that it will, and you can see everything's working, but you have that bridge moment there. That's a time where we'd lean on Cardiff Bank to come in and help us bridge between 2 to 3 weeks of training, 2 weeks of opening where we're overstaffed and labor is high, and as you mentioned, expensive, because we want the best talent. And you need a bridge there. And that's the time where I pick up the phone and call Cardiff and I can get a bridge. And I might need that for a month or 2 or 3 to get me through so that I can maintain the level of staffing and the level of service I want to be successful.
When you're evaluating like a new concept like this, what tells you that it's worth even pursuing to start with?
When you're assessing a new restaurant location, generally revenue per square foot potential is the metric that I use. So you want to make sure that you're going to meet a certain threshold. Good restaurants are doing $800 a square foot. Great restaurants are doing $1,000 to $1,200 a square foot in revenue. So you now have a revenue number against a cost structure. So generally the most important cost is rent in this particular scenario. So because you kind of know what you're going to do for food costs, you know what you're going to do for labor costs, you know what your electricity bills and your insurance bills are going to be. The real X factor in evaluating a location is going to be the rent or the lease. So as long as you can keep the lease under 8% and you can keep the revenue over 800 a square foot, ideally closer to 1,000, you probably have a good location.
Investors, they often look for kind of quick returns, while restaurants, they take time to find their stride. How do you balance the books? How do you set realistic financial expectations for yourself, but also your backers?
We generally, and I would say this goes for a lot of restaurants that I'm aware of, you want to ideally return capital to investors within 3 years. So use the same methodology I just mentioned, revenue per square foot. You'll ultimately come to a profit number, and you'll have a carrying cost, and then what you want to do is return that capital within 3 years. If you're somewhere in that neighborhood, generally for us, in our experience, that works for investors and that works for our model.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike.
Cardiff, approval in minutes, funding same day.